welcome to LYRE's music channel. So today I'm doing something I'm really excited about. I want to show you guys how to produce a K-pop song like BLACKPINK. Now, my partner and Elli and I, we have a lot of experience in K-pop and J-pop. We've had cuts with bands like Red Velvet, Rocket Girls from Produce 101, Rains, a lot of really cool bands. We've worked on Asian pop music since probably like 2015 as a team, and I personally had J-pop cuts, and I'm not kidding, like 2008. So I've really been familiar with Asian pop music for a long time, been a huge fan of it, and really enjoy writing and producing it. So we're gonna have two versions of this video. So the version here on YouTube is gonna be like a simpler, shorter version that just kind of shows you guys an overview of how you can approach a track like that. I won't really dig into songwriting or anything like that. It will just be kind of like the main ideas of a beat like this. If you guys would like more of a detailed view, like a very specific detailed tutorial on how to do a song like this, I'm going to be posting a longer version of this video on Gumroad. The link is below. You can buy it for a little bit of money, help support the channel, and it will be very detailed. Like I'll go into every sound, and I'll talk about songwriting as well, and also pitching songs to K-pop, a little bit like about how it works, how you can present it to A&R, stuff like that. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop right to it. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so to me, this is very simple. Really, all we have is 808, drums, and a lead. There's not a whole lot else going on. This is easy because it's not a lot of elements, and it's hard because all of those elements have to be right. Otherwise, it doesn't sound right. So first of all, let's take a look at this kick snare package right here. 1, 2, ta, 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 ta. It's not a very difficult pattern. And if you analyze kick drums in a lot of these, not just BLACKPINK, but like these kind of big, like Z-esque drops, it's usually a very simple kick pattern, something you might even find in a rock song from the 70s or 80s, something that's not too fancy, you know, doesn't have a lot of like 16th note kicks. It might have it for like one moment or something, but mostly it's like two, ta, two, 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 ta, or here it's like 1, 2 snare, 1, 2, 2 snare. So it's really simple. Now, sample choice is really important for your kick and snare. That's probably one of the things I definitely spend time on, is just picking the right sample. If you guys have watched any of my older tutorials, you guys know that I used to drag and drop like kick and snare samples just like this. Like if we go to kicks, like I just like do this. I stopped doing that a little while ago because it is a little bit easier to do it with MIDI because I can replace the sample. Here's our kick. This kick lives in the hip hop space. There's a crunch. Like if we look at it specifically with like what's going on here. Yeah, so you know, these crunchy kind of hip hop kicks, I won't torture you guys with that. A lot of these crunchy kicks, they just play around a lot, around like lower mids. You know, here there's a lot of like around 130, like it extends into the 200s, where a lot of like cleaner dance kicks, they'll really pop right here, like around 60, and then maybe they'll have like a pop around like somewhere around here of like their top like click. You hear the difference. First of all, it has a pitch, which is real, like everything has a pitch, but it has a defined pitch, which is really tough because I'd have to play that off against the 808, or I'd have to retune it. So like, nah, you know, but also you can hear that, like that top popping. See right there, the top is popping. So, which is not what I wanted for this specifically. I usually layer snares sometimes, every time the snare happens, it's like 2 or 3 sounds. A lot of the times I layer certain hits. So as you can see, like here's 4 bars, you know, these happen every time. So twice in a bar. Well, I mean, once in a bar, what am I saying? And then this happens every 3rd bar. Yeah, so we have 4 bars. I'm like, wait, math is hard. Just kidding. 3rd bar, we have this little tambourine hit. You know what I'm saying? And that adds the top end crispness, that pop of something, ooh, something exciting just happened. Do you hear that? So we've got different things coming in. It keeps it interesting. Otherwise, you know, it would be fine. But if you listen to layering on these types of songs, almost all of them do that. It just keeps like that spark alive, keeps it a little bit more fun, more interesting. So I would strongly advise to do that. The next thing I want to talk about here, still pertaining to the drums, is percussion. Specifically here, what I did is I basically had this like percussion come in on the first half and these hats come in on the second half. I'm going to play this percussion really quickly. So if you hear it with everything. They cranked it. We don't need to have it that loud, but just so you can hear it, how it works against the track. It adds movement, you know, because without it, it's this. It still totally works, but to me, this adds like even more like, oh, here we go, we're at the drop. I really enjoy organic elements added to electronic elements. You know, mostly I'm an electronic producer, but low-key, like I want to kind of play guitar and everything. Like I want piano and everything, like even touches of it, or organic percussion like that. It brings things to pop for my ear from EDM or, you know, electro or any of that territory. It immediately shifts it to pop. That's just me though. How did I make this loop? So this is several loops put together. How many loops is this? Oh, 3. Okay, I got confused because of the colors. The way I approached this, I remember, is I had like a pattern in mind, a rhythmic pattern, and I just hummed it and then I made it. So like if I were to do it right now, reenact it, it would be this. This is me because I come from being a singer. So for me, like vocalizing parts is a huge thing. For some of you guys that come from being like a drummer, you know, maybe you play it on your like pad or keyboard, you know. For other instrumentalists, it might even be like finding rhythms on guitar. You know, for singers, like use your voice. It's probably the thing you're ingrained to use the most. What I used here is this loop. Just some bongos, I'm pretty sure, but see, this is what it used to be. So I picked the parts that suited me and then just dumped the rest. Then I have this. It's just a little tambourine. Goes like this against this. Okay, so that was the percussion. On the second half of this drop, however, I am adding the 808 hats, which are like, I don't know, I always say this to me. This is like foundation of trap, is these hats. Like every single trap song has them. They just do something, like those hats, a snare and like an 808 snare, and then the appropriate kicks and an 808. That's a hip hop beat. Okay, and speaking of the 808, let's look at what is going on here. So first of all, we are in what? A sharp minor. So the drop is A sharp minor. It doesn't really change chords other than this little walk down right here. Right? And this is actually very much on purpose. It's not common that I work on songs that don't change chords very often. Like a lot of what I work on is really melodic. Like it'll be 1 chord progression in the verse, 1 chord progression in the pre, 1 in the chorus. Like not always, but you know, at least it has 4 chords that would. This is different because yet again, this music is sort of about like vamping with the drums and the top line and the main synth, which I will get to in a second. So a lot of the times, this is what happens. It just stays on the 1, on the tonic, or it has like a very simple little chord change. See, this is really, really simple. There's not a whole lot else going on, but the other elements are extremely important. So basically, what we have outside of these drums and this 808 is the lead. And this is the thing that will make or break your drop, 100%, because anyone can pick a nice hip hop kick. Anyone can pick a nice snare, good 808. your lead is the melody, like the thing that's going to be really catchy. So I'm going to solo this right now, play this for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about how I did this. So first of all, I will be super transparent with you guys. I looked for a lead melody on Splice as the very first step of starting this track, right? I did not know what the song was gonna be called, did not have chords, did not have even like a tonic, like key. It probably had approximate BPM. But what I really wanted to find was something that really felt like the right kind of vibe, right? And I think this is a really cool technique. You can definitely start from scratch and write it, which I've done many times. In this particular case, this was almost like a shortcut, a little like, oh, like this is an easier way to do it. So what I did is specifically I looked at the Cashmere kit on Splice, specifically because it has a lot of ethnic sounds, right? And something about this kind of BLACKPINK style is a lot of the motifs that are used are like Arabic motifs, things that are a little bit like off the beaten path. I strongly recommend for you guys to have sort of like a in your head knowledge of different packs. It doesn't have to be Splice, it could be whatever you use. So as you can tell, it's not the same. I'm gonna play you guys mine. So the only thing that's pretty much the same melody is do da da do da, and then it's just like I basically started changing it after that. So I have two tracks here. One is like the main. So what I did is I used a pan flute sampler, whatever it is, and yeah, just ended up playing this melody in. I do have my favorite reverb. One other thing I want to show you guys here on this drop is this brass hit. I always call this foghorn. I know for a fact it's not a foghorn, but I always call this like very obnoxious like brass. I basically call it a foghorn. Basically, this is very widely used. This is like a common thing, you know, like if you think about like a festival, it's like it's usually like that instrument doing that. So this is like the nod to the festival, right? Also, another thing about this instrument, it's very brash and it immediately creates this feeling of like, oh, here we go, this is like the most powerful part. I really enjoy using this in choruses on this style. Like honestly, like a lot of tracks that I have that are in this vein, they use this type of sample in one way or another. Okay, so that is honestly kind of it for this drop. There is a lot going on the vocal. All right, guys, and that is it. As I mentioned, I do have a longer, much longer video version of this song. I go into a lot more detail about why I've produced certain things the way I did in the song. I also show the vocals and talk about songwriting as well. So if you guys would like to see that, the link for that is below on Gumroad. Have any questions at all, feel free to ask in the comments below. And yeah, if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.